Okay, YouTube, now we're going to talk about porting the heads. Okay, you can see that these have been ported and these have not. When's enough? When is enough enough? Or when is enough too much? Or where should I go? How far should I go? Okay, so you can see the difference see the lumps and bumps in here, and then you can see how smooth this is all the way through. Okay, so I want to go over all the aspects of that on this video here. So what I might do is I might cut the video into two pieces. One would be watch the boringness of Jay undoing the valves and putting them over there, getting them all set up like we just did and you saw. Okay, I did talk a little bit about our jig that we made so we can do this on multiple different sets of heads, and this head here on both sides. Remember, this goes on this side if you want to do these heads, these springs, and then it goes on this side if you want to do the other springs, the other side. Okay, because of the difference in angle. Now again, if you want a video on how I made this, just leave it in the comments and we'll go from there. Okay, so what you're gonna need, all right, this is not, it's not a hard job, but it's not a simple job either. All right, this is especially being an aluminum head, this is a one-time deal. So if you mess it up, guess what? You messed it up. Okay, so you need to take your time with it. And this particular part of the job, okay, you're gonna have to spend a little bit of money. All right, you're gonna have to buy the right tools. If you don't have a Dremel, you can use a drill. Okay, can use a drill, but it's easier if you have a Dremel. Why I say Dremel? Okay, you can buy the one at Harbor Freight. Anybody that's in the United States, you can buy a Dremel, or you can go to Harbor Freight and buy a cheap model. Anybody that's overseas, you find your local cheap model tool company in that area also. Okay, but this here is not a must, but if you want to make your life a whole lot easier and make this job a whole lot cleaner and neater, that's definitely a tool that you're going to need. Okay, air grinder. All right, I have an angle model and I have a straight model. All right, straight model I do for when I go in through the intake, because the intake is very long, so this fits in there real nice and easy. Okay, again, Harbor Freight. All right, this was 20 bucks, and you got all of these sanding discs. These are great for getting in to where the valve stem seats are. Okay, in there and here. All right, you can get into that area there. Okay, because it's a pointed edge, it'll go up in there. And then the straight one, this one here is great for, you know, smoothing out the area here, like here. Okay, I also got, again, Harbor Freight. Okay, you don't have to buy super expensive tools. You can use these. All right, this thing was 20 bucks. 20 bucks at Harbor Freight. And this, you know, okay, so you use one, you wipe it out, you grab the other one and you wipe this one out. Doesn't matter, you know what I mean? For $20, if you use half the stuff in here and then you throw the rest of it in the garbage or whatever, it's still $20 that was well spent. Okay, because you're going to use this, rough it out. Okay, you're going to use the sanding. See, look at how much focus. Well, it's not going to focus very well, so you have to see it's kind of blurry. But the black portion is rubber. There it is. And the red portion is the sandpaper. So you can see how much that you're going to use these guys here. All right, you can see that I've already used this one. So it's aluminum, and aluminum will build up on a stone. But you can use a different, they make a tool that will actually clean this out. You're going to need steel wool. Okay, this is number 3, I believe, and this is actually steel wool that you buy at your grocery store for doing your dishes. Okay, you may want to get a wire brush, larger one. Okay, all right. This is a Scotch-Brite disc. Okay, so when we're all done, we're going to clean up the head. All right, you can see that that's got croties on it and grodies. Okay, when we're all done here, we're actually going to just clean up the surface of this. Okay, going to do a light cleanup on it. We don't want to do anything radical because we don't want to change the shape of this. All right, and those are the tools that you're going to need. You want some sort of cleaner. This is actually a parts cleaning solution. Okay, and I grabbed some carburetor cleaner because on the intake ports, you can see down in there, maybe really can't see because it's not bright enough, but there was some grunge in there, so I used the carburetor cleaner to clean that up. Okay, now again, this is going to go into the parts cleaner, and it's going to get cleaned up all throughout, because one thing that you don't want to do is when you start doing this, there's going to be a lot of aluminum dust. Okay, you don't want to put your engine back together with aluminum dust in your engine. It's going to have enough of its own break-in material. You don't want to have any extra material to start ruining other parts of the engine. So you want to make sure that this is super clean when you're finished doing this. Okay, that's very important. All right, now I'm going to try to do this as best I can with the way that the camera is set up. I know this is probably a little hokey, but now you can see in here, get the light, you can see in here, okay, the aluminum casting. All right, let's see if I can zoom in. There you go. So you can see in here the aluminum casting, okay, and it's rough. All right, what you want to do, like here, is what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out that casting. So we're just going to grind down to the casting. Okay, that's going to be the first thing we want to do. We want to rough this out to the casting. Everybody, people always ask, well, how far is too much? How much should we grind out? How much should we take out? Anybody that's doing this at home or wanting to try to do this at home and see what happens. Nobody ever tells you, how much to take out. I mean, I even ask professional people, and they're like, well, and we don't have a lot of, most people now, professionals, what they do is they, you buy a set of heads, they're machined via CNC machining, and it's all done by computer. So what we want to do is we want to start out by just smoothing down the casting. Okay, that's the first thing that we want to do. Same thing in here. All right, you can see, even though there's carbon buildup, that's fine, but you can see that there's casting in there. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. All right, so come on, stay up here now. I apologize if this falls down while we're starting. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, here's my camera, come on. Oh, here we go. So I'm going to take this bit off. I'm going to start with the stone bit. Okay, so we're going to start with the stone bit. Now, very important, you do not want to hit this. This is your valve stem seat. Okay, it's hardened steel. You don't want to hit that. Okay, so we're going to grind back here behind the seat. Okay, and we'll take our time doing it. So here we go. notice that I'm going back and forth real quick. Okay, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to stay in one place because this is small. This is small. So if you stay in one place, you're going to have this shape, okay, in here. That shape's going to be in there. So you don't want to do that. You want to move around. Okay, go up and down, back and forth. You want to make sure that you move around and not make any indentations, okay, like what we did on the port out and the exhaust, and I'll show that in a minute. And what you always want to do is you want to stop, inspect your work. You don't want to go too fast. Okay. Stop and inspect your work. Take your time. Alright, I'm going to change to a different drum. Change to this down here. So I'm just going to change to the bigger drum. Okay, so I'm down to smooth in areas and not so smooth in other areas. Let me utilize. So you can see here, you can still see some of the casting. Okay. Here, this is where the casting was casted together. Alright, that's just going to be there. Then you have some of the casting here. There's some casting here. So did we go really far? No, because here's still some of the casting. Okay. So when you sit there and you go, well, how far is too much? Because, you know, the water jacket's right behind us. You know, here's your water, and your jacket's right behind us. So you don't want to take too much out. Otherwise, you know, now you've made everything real weak, and it's going to let go under extreme heat. Okay. So, you know, it's everybody's, you know, if you're questioning, okay, well, how far down should I go? Well, we're just going to take the casting off, all right, and make this smooth and more like this. Okay, now you can still see there's just a little bit of casting in some spots here too, but it's much smoother. Okay, more easy, better flow for the air to come through. Now I did widen this a little bit, all right, because you can see here where you can see here where this is, all right, and that's the seat for the valve seat. Okay, and that's the seat for this ring. So that's why it's, you know, they just machine it, drill a hole through it, and there you go, done. So what we're doing is we're just refining this. Now I'm not taking all of it, okay, because you can see, you know, here there's still some seat here and here. Okay, so you can see that, but I'm just massaging it nicely, okay, all the way around, making it down, making it smooth, okay, all the way through. Alright. So, let's go back over here. And now we'll go to the next tool, which is going to be the air. Now, I have this on low air, so this thing is not screaming. Okay. And I'm going to use the long square one. I think that's what I'm going to do at first. Now when you put these on, okay, make sure that this goes in the same rotation of your gun, meaning that it spins this way, because if you have it spin this way, it's going to unravel. Okay, so make sure you remember that. And basically what I'm feeling for is consistency. Are there any ripples in it? Are there any bumps in it? That's pretty good right now. We'll get back to that. Now let's go to exhaust. Go back to our Dremel. Alright, now we're going to start working on the intake side. Okay, this one here is the one we're working on. These are the ones that are finished. Alright, and all we did again is we took down our inside down to the casting. So we smoothed out the casting. Okay. And now we're working on this one here. Now we're just going to sand down the inside of the casting. So now what we'll do is we'll turn the head upside down and we'll do the bottom part. So right now we're just going to finish doing these two, this one and this one, this guy and this guy, and then we'll flip it upside down and clean up a little bit on the other side. So I'll try to do my best here to show you this. this. I don't know if I can get this down this far, but we'll try. So basically on this, what we're going to do is, you can see where it's already been done, but it is, there's ripples in it. See the ripples? I don't know if you can see the ripples. Yeah, there's a couple. You can see the ripples in it. See the ripples in it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to smooth out those ripples. And then we should be good. Alright, so now it's cleaned out all the ripples on it. Okay, we'll do this one. So again, you can still see some of the casting, okay, in spots. So when you sit there and you go, oh, that's like too much, and not worried about it, but we didn't even get down as that far. Alright, now we got one more thing to do, which is the wire brush. So, and then all I'm going to do is just run the wire brush over all the surfaces in case there's any little burrs that might be sticking up. Alright, now we turn the head upside down, and we'll finish this side with the wire brush. And this will clean out any burrs that have possibly left over from the sanding, and just take down the surface. Alright. You can see the inside. There you have it. That's the exhaust ports. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the wire brush on the rest of this. Alright. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do in here, the wire wheel. Okay. And you can see the difference here where, sorry about the shakiness, I'm just trying to readjust the tripod so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see here where this is utterly smooth from the wire brush, and this here you can see the grain, you know, it's a little bit grainy. Okay, so the wire wheel will knock all that down. Alright, so I'm going to take care of that, and I'll be back. Alright, so now these are all finished. smoothed out, and they don't have to be super smooth. Okay, they don't need to be polished. That's a racer's myth. Unless you're getting into, you know, 2,000-3,000 horsepower, and you really need to have a mirror finish, but it's not 100% necessary. You can see in there. Okay, now the very last thing that we're going to do here is we are going to steel wool. Come on now. We're going to take some steel wool and we're just going to run around the carbon buildup that is on the valve stem seats on the okay. There we go. All right, so there it is. Our heads have been ported, or this is our first head. Now I'll start working on this one. Okay, but I'm not going to bore you with that. We saw how to do that. We also saw the jig that we made to take the strings, the valve springs, retainers off. And any questions on that, leave it down in the comments. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clean this up here. Then I'm going to throw this in the parts cleaner and get it all clean, get it all crowdiness, get every little nick and cranny in case there's any aluminum shavings, wire brush parts, and we're going to get all of that cleaned off. And then these are ready to start reassembling. All right, guys, that's a wrap.